Hi, this is Bee from Sorcery Soap, and today I'm going to talk about product photography, particularly for soap. And I've gone through the ringer with this process. So I thought I'd share some things that have helped me and maybe help you a bit get down the road a bit and keep your business moving forward, so that when there's hindrances and we don't know how to get past them, sometimes it sort of stumps us. Well, it does me anyway. So if you've been following Sorcery Soap, you see that I am prolific. I'm not that prolific does not equal good. I am a work in progress, but I want to learn, and so but I also want to learn the way I learn. So I don't really want to know a bunch of stuff that I don't need to know. I just want to know what I need to know in order to keep moving forward with whatever I'm doing. And so I used to be a photographer, and I would shoot events like moving sports, all types of sports, and moving creatures and things like that, humans and otherwise. And being outside is one thing because you don't get to control the light, you just have to work with it. And so you learn a whole different set of skills than if you shoot indoors with controlled lighting. Now, I've read a lot of times where people are saying that natural light is the best, and I don't entirely disagree. I only partially disagree. Floodlight, I think, is the best. Wraparound light is the best. What I mean by wraparound light is that I'll put a picture in right here. The reason I say that is because I want to show you the product without a bunch of shadow. I want the light to fill in, but I also want to have just enough shadow so it doesn't look like it's floating in nowhere land, or it's not grounded, because then what happens is you just sort of look around the picture instead of, look at the product. And that's also why I don't use a lot of props. Some people like backgrounds and things like that. I don't. And I just want a white background. I don't want to have to rethink my photography all the time. I want to use all that energy and put it into my soap creations. So I also don't want to have to fiddle with it or learn a whole new skill set every time I need to shoot a product, because I change my products all the time and I put new pictures up on the website all the time. And I also share a lot, so I want to be able to take a decent picture that tells a decent story, because that's what photography is about, is telling a story, and communicates effectively what the product is, so that you're not disappointed, if anything, pleasantly surprised to see one of our products in your hand. And which I thought was really interesting. Here's an interesting point. If you want to know if people tell the truth in photography, when I was dating, I would show up and I'd go to myself, wow, was that your high school picture? Because that's not what you look like now. I'm standing right here, right? And most of the time they would say I look better in person than I do in my picture, which I thought was awesome, because that means I wasn't overselling. I wasn't exaggerating. I was just saying this is what I am in the most pleasant way possible. And, when you take a picture, you want to make sure there's no soap crumbs and things like that, anything that would distract, because the minute that it's hyper focused, people are going to look. It's sort of like if you were going to make a good first impression, you wouldn't go in your pajamas. You want to put your best foot forward, so you do that with your soaps as well. At least I try to with my soaps. Occasionally I missed a crumb or whatever, but another way is that wipe your soaps off with a moist cloth or a wet cloth really quickly, just to make sure, and then let it dry so that you have all the crumbs off. Because there's nothing worse than taking a picture and going, I see all that now, Anyway, so the other thing I wanted to point out, and I'll try and make this as quick as possible. I can talk at length about photography. Not that I'm great at it. I just know a lot about it, but because I've learned a lot of hard lessons. I've spent hundreds of dollars on lights, because lighting's really important. And I realized the best way for me is inexpensive lights that are not cumbersome. So the big soft boxes that you see people use and whatever when they're doing all these YouTube videos, I don't like to live with them. I've lived with them before, and I think they're annoying as anything. You got to move around them, and they're big and cumbersome, and if you can't open the windows because they'll blow over and all this other stuff. So And I did that. I used to shoot, I tried to shoot for a while. I thought portraiture would help me get my business going, and it didn't. Photography was right at the time where everybody thought they were a photographer that had a phone. So there's a kind of another skill set besides owning a phone that you need for photography. You need to know a little bit about light, and it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes, and to try and learn from that. You know, that's what I've done. And so I want to try and shorten that for you so that you can see a cost-effective way to move forward. So the other part of this story is I bought a lot of soft boxes, and if you don't know what a soft box is, I'll put a picture in. So it's usually a fold-up box that it pops open, and it's made out of soft polyester material of some sort. And what I found about those is, number one, they're not deep enough, because I like to take a longer picture so that I have nothing in the background. I don't want to take it just on top of it every single time. Sometimes I want a stack of soaps, or I want a pile of soaps or something. So that was really limiting. And then I couldn't iron the creases out, and I could see them. And I couldn't blow it out enough without blowing my soap out to make that work. And there was too much shenanigans in the back office for me to be comfortable with in Photoshop. And it's not that I'm not familiar with Photoshop. I just thought that's way too much work for wrinkles. So I thought that's not going to work. So I ended up giving that away. I bought a bunch of studio lights, and then they needed different lamps that I couldn't get my hands on anymore that didn't fit with the syncing. And there's just a whole big deal. So what I do now is I found these brackets, I make these brackets, I figured out these brackets, and I make these brackets here, and somebody that I work with for the stamps helps produce these brackets so that you could use foam board and just and I'll put a picture in, and plus there's more video at the end of this. You can see, you just buy two $6 pieces of foam board that you could replace, so you're not stuck with marble or wood or whatever. And I say it like that because I thought it was so annoying. I mean, how obvious that you would just want a black background, black top, and the black bottom, white, so that it all goes away, and then you just have like a little shadow. But the kits that I found had marble here and maybe white here, or black and gray or whatever. And it was like, that's annoying to me, because there's a line right there, and it limits my choice. And for $80, I thought, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to commit. Plus the boards weren't large enough. So you'll see the boards that I use are like 30 by 40 inch and smaller. So I don't know what that is right now. Let me see. That is, this one is 20 by 30. So it's foam board, and that's the bigger one, so that's $8. The smaller ones are $6. And you could even just get one foam board to stand rigid in the back. Well, that wouldn't work because you need to fill in that. I was going to say use a piece of cardboard, but you could. Okay, you could. So you could get, if you don't want to spend the money on the foam board, just get one foam board for the backing, white, and then one piece of cardboard, like white, what's it called now? White cardboard, I don't know. And it's thinner, and it's only like $2. And put that on a piece of cardboard so that those brackets fit and they're snug, and you can change the bottom all day long. So, and very cost effective for changing your background. So anyway, that's what I have to say about this, and I'll get to the video so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, thank you for watching and being patient with me. Okay, bye. This is a piece of foam core right here, $6 over at Hobby Lobby, $6, so there's 12 bucks. They used to be 5 a piece or 2 for $5, so they've gone up quite a bit, but can't do much about that. So these brackets right here, I had help creating. A new friend of mine is starting, a guy I work with. He doesn't live too far from me. He makes these. So all this slides in like this. Here, let me set this down. So anyway, these foam cores just fit into this bracket like that. And then you can take this apart and then I can just lean them up against the wall and then I don't have to live with this big box. Let me show you what the light looks like. Now you could get other light sources. It don't have to be this guy. I got this for two reasons, because this frame right here softens it and I need a light all the time. The other thing I used to use, you know those clip-on lights? You get a big flood on those. You could put something in front of it or whatever to soften the light, but I used to use those clip-on lights too. But you can see how little shadow there is now, and if I do a little fill flash or a reflector flash, it bounces off the ceiling, because I have an onboard flash on my camera and it just bounces off the ceiling, and if I could bounce it correctly, then I get rid of some of that other shadow. But even the shadow is pretty minimal compared to bright light shadow, which is like, let me see if I got it here. Compared to, see that shadow? That's sharp and distinct. And that's what natural light can do. So right here, it looks nice if I don't have any backdrop. Well, you know, my hands. But see how sharp that shadow is? I don't want that shadow because it's distracting. That's my opinion. I mean, anyway, so, and then here, lot less shadow. I mean, there is some shadow, and again, I can use a fill light to get rid of some of that, and I'm not bothered by that too much because it, you know, just stops me from moving forward. So anyway, I hope this helps, and I hope you think it's a good idea, and maybe it'll support you in getting your light box situation set up. And these can come in, you can get these in any color. That's the other thing I really like about using the foam core. So I have a black one down there that fell on the floor, and pink, purple, like Hobby Lobby has every color pretty much, and they're not very expensive. Whereas when I was looking at the other situations, the setup of the other situations, I was like, I'm stuck with it. You know, I'm going to spend $75 on this box, and I'm stuck with something that looks like marble and it's about that big. So I hope this helps.